A Georgia sheriff has a new message for visitors to his county, and it is anything but politically.
To say the least, yes. The sign posted outside the sheriff's headquarters reads, quote, "Our citizens have concealed weapons. If you kill someone, we might kill you back. We have 1 jail and 356 cemeteries. Enjoy your stay."
Joining us now with the story behind this sign is the creator himself, Sheriff Mike Jolly from the Harris County, Georgia Sheriff's Office. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Great. Do you really have 356 cemeteries, or is that a little hyperbole?
Probably just a little tongue-in-cheek.
So what was the purpose?
Well, over the past few years, we've tripled in our amount of concealed weapons that we've issued out in our county. And that's the purpose, is just to let people know that the law is real specific. If you are using a deadly weapon to commit bodily injury to someone, the law says that a person can use a weapon to protect themselves. And that's exactly what it says. And the fact that we have 1 jail and so many cemeteries is just a tongue-in-cheek way of saying law enforcement can't be everywhere all the time. So citizens have a right to protect themselves.
Yeah, you're basically saying our town is not a gun-free zone. And if you want to come here and cause havoc, we've got armed citizens. Why don't so many people understand that basic premise that an armed citizenry is the best way to deter crimes?
We've just gone crazy this day and time. I can't understand it, but it is what it is now.
So in 2015, this is not the first time you've had a little bit of fun. 2015, you had the most politically incorrect sign, I'm told, of the year. Warning, Harris County is politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas, God bless America, and in God we trust. We salute our troops and our flag. If this offends you, leave. I don't know who determines that it's the most politically incorrect, but why'd you do it?
Well, again, it just took me back to a time that was slower. I can't see what the problem is with saying Merry Christmas or In God We Trust or we salute our flag and support our troops. When I was young, we all did it. We should go back to it. And if that truly offends a person to where you want to fight or get in a disagreement, maybe you should leave.
Sheriff, I think Pete wants to move to your town.
I do. I was just going to say I want to move to your county. It's almost like you were Trump before Trump. I mean, you recognize these cultural trends and say, hey, we don't have to put up with it.
Well, it's time to make America great again.
You're making your county great again before America great again.
Sheriff, appreciate you coming in.
Well, I appreciate it.
All right, take care. We got a huge Sunday show. It's Master Sunday. Got the green jacket, still on tap. Congressman Devin Nunes, Alan Dershowitz, Pastor Robert Jeffress, and Diamond and Silk. Facebook may be targeting them. What's that about? We'll find out.
Democrats in Congress are doing everything in their power to undermine immigration enforcement. I will not rest until we have secured our borders and restored the rule of law.
This is a brilliant idea to use the Guard, and just the presence of the Guard there is a huge deterrent.
1 person is dead and 6 firefighters hurt after a fire rips through Trump Tower right here in New York City. President Trump tweeting about the blaze and thanking the firefighters for a great job.
President Trump blasting the DOJ and FBI, slow walking. What is going on? Bad.
They gave us absolutely nothing. The president's right to be frustrated. I'm frustrated, but you know what? Enough with the talk.
Final poll here. The Masters on the Closet, Fox and Friends. Will it be Ed? Will it be Pete?
Go.
Oh my! Do I have to make this? All right.
Watch it, Pete.
Winner!
I'm on top of the world, I'm on top of the world, waiting on this for a while now.
Yeah, I'd like to hear this song play out just a little bit.
Ed feels on top of the world, and you're going to feel on top of the world.
One putt lips out. One putt lips out.
You stabbed at it.
I mean, it lipped out.
Pete is green with envy this morning. It is Masters Sunday. I've got the jacket. I don't have to worry about sitting on a lead. It was won yesterday.
You won it on Saturday. You're right.
And Pete presented you the green jacket in the 6 o'clock hour. I don't know if we can replay that
Those of you
moment,
just
but it's one
waking
you'll
up,
never forget.
I had a blue jacket. Abby and I were in on a joke with our producers, and I said, I don't want to rub
was
it in.
not
I
in
have
on
a
the
green
joke.
tie. I don't want to wear a green jacket. That'd be too much. And Abby said, wait a second, it's Sunday. And he had Pete put the jacket on. So
Pete, the reality is he looked all over the city yesterday until he could find a green
He
jacket.
did,
swear.
and then
I was calling. I called Ralph Lauren. I called all these places. I finally found it at Brooks Brothers. You get the credit, even though I paid full price, on Madison Avenue. And they had a green jacket. The last place I went to. All these people were telling me, you can't get the Masters jacket. It's like trademarked to that specific green.
But did you tell him
It's
that
the
you won
closest-
the Masters? So
I said I won fair and square. One guy, no joke, at
Fox
Ralph
and Friends
Lauren. I'm
Masters.
like, please, I need help. He said, I can get it in like 3 weeks. I'm like, no, I need it tomorrow. And he said, I got another idea. I said, what's that? If you're really good at golf, you can get it. I'm like, that's what I'm saying, but I can't
have
win the
video to prove
Masters.
it.
Yeah, but
Really
I didn't
good
win
at
the
mini
So
golf,
here's the
though.
sad thing. Pete has continued to lose. How many times now? It's been
Well,
basketball, you were dunked, now it's golf.
You were
The list goes
I
on
lost
and
a
on.
push. Yeah.
So we
it's a
asked
lot,
you
yeah.
this morning, what sport should we do next between these two that you think Pete could actually win?
Yeah.
And the emails
Is
have been
there
pouring in.
anything? I mean, is there anything?
So Russell sent in this email, said you should have Ed and Pete do this for the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the PGA Championship, and see if Ed
Whoa.
can complete the Grand Slam.
Yeah, my buddy Dana Quigley, who's actually a pro golfer, told me nobody's won this better since Arnie. I think he's exaggerating because he's my friend, but
I like
email
this next
from,
one.
but I'm going to bask in it. John and Margaret jousting with golf carts. That could get dangerous.
So I'm in for it.
He
So I
might just
want.
finally say, I'm running you
So
over.
I want to do that. Holly emails saying hockey, of course, with the Stanley Cup playoffs pending. Hockey should be next, please. Now, I am from Minnesota, so
Yeah.
you'd assume I've got an advantage, but I played a lot of boot hockey, but I'm not a great skater. Are you?
What I am. What about rollerblades instead of ice hockey?
Even worse.
You know, you're from Minnesota, like you said. You're an Army veteran. You should be great at hockey. But you know what?
nothing.
It just raises expectations.
My dad was a basketball coach, so that was supposed to be my sport, but I've already lost that one.
Can I
want a
put
rematch.
in my recommendation?
Yeah, please.
Synchronized swimming.
I can't do that.
I would love it. I would
All
love
right,
to
that
see
is
that
great
on
for
television.
I've actually done that on Fox and Friends before.
I
Just, you know,
believe
if we
it.
could pull that tape up, I have synchronized
believe
slam
it.
on
I'm
Fox
tired
and
of all the winning. The president talked in the campaign about how you'd be tired of the winning. Here's another one. He is going directly to the border, trying to seal it up, and basically saying if Congress is not going to give him the money for the wall, he is going to strengthen our defenses against illegal.
That's right. This is the president tweeting yesterday saying, we're sealing up our southern border. The people of our great country want safety and security. The Dems have been a disaster on this very important issue, doubling down first on the reality of securing the border, which I believe is most important to him, but then also litigating and reminding people that there's only one side of the aisle. Frankly, only one place, the White House, because establishment Republicans have been no good on this as well. One place where a true commitment to the securing the border exists. He wants the border wall. They won't give it to him. He's saying, I'm going to send the National Guard.
Well, you can't really move forward on immigration in this country unless you secure that border. And so that is something the president's doubling down on. You now have troops sent to the borders, Arizona and Texas. And we talked to Lieutenant General Stephen Blum this morning on the show, who, because this has happened before, under Barack Obama and in 2006 under George W.
So
And he
what can
was
we
a
learn
great
from that?
person to talk to this morning. Here's what he told us about how to implement this the right way.
These are superb citizen soldiers. They have all of the skills, training, and discipline of our best units in the United States Army and Air Force. The only difference is that they come with civilian acquired skills and life experience. This is a brilliant idea to use the Guard. It is precisely the secret sauce that delivers the unity of effort between the locals, the state, the federal governments of both the United States and Mexico. The only people that view this as a threat are the coyotes and the cartels.
True, but
He also suggested the troops should be armed. We didn't play because we asked. There have been reports that they wouldn't be armed. We weren't sure. Are they going to be armed?
How
He
could
said
they
if
not
I
be?
had to put my assessment in,
Right.
I would say they're much better off.
Right,
It's
but
far
what
more
if they're
effective if
armed
they are.
and an illegal crosses the border and provokes them? Someone gets shot.
Yeah.
Well,
All of a sudden
self-defense
you
is
have a whole
self-defense.
nother-
It's true, but you've got these MS-13 cartels, you've got drug cartels. I mean, you've got to have the ability to defend yourself if you're a National Guardsman down at the border. He said they were armed then, they should be armed now. We're actually going to talk to the Brigadier General Tracy Norris. She's the head of the Texas Army National Guard, obviously front and center in this. They've already announced they're deploying troops. It's their border state, but they're deploying more. I got to believe she would say they should be armed as well.
Well, maybe one of our questions, I just say the Lieutenant General, knows more than I do about the border. And he went through this in 2006. But We tried it, as he said, in 2006, then tried it under Barack Obama in 2010 in terms of sending the National Guard to the border. He says it's a secret sauce. We've done it twice, and here we are a decade later, and the border's still not secure.
And according to the memo, the troops will be there through the end of September. So then the question is, what happens after that? What is the long-term solution to this problem?
All right, that's right.
All right, we will keep talking about this throughout the morning, and Ed will keep his green jacket on, I have no doubt.
Great.
But we do want to get to some serious headlines we are following closely this morning, starting with that Fox News alert. One person is dead, 6 firefighters hurt after a fire rips through Trump Tower right here in New York City. You can see the flames shooting out from the apartment there. That is on the 50th floor. Art dealer Todd Brasner pulled out of the home and later died. It's unclear what sparked that fire. No members of the first family were there at the time. President Trump tweeting firefighters, thanking them for the great job that they did. Also this morning, the U.S. demanding that Russia end its support for the Syrian regime after one of the worst chemical attacks in history. Heartbreaking pictures showing children gasping for air in the attack that killed at least 70. More than 500 others have been injured. A rebel group accusing the Assad regime of dropping barrel bombs packed with poison in the city of Douma. The government denies any involvement. And of course, this comes after last year's sarin massacre, which prompted the Trump administration's airstrikes against a Syrian air base. Well, it is Sunday, and it is the Masters. It is the showdown. It is taking shape today. Patrick Reed holding his lead entering the final round.
How about Patrick Reed?
That was a shot. The 27-year-old American now at 14 under par and a 3-shot lead over Rory McIlroy. We will see what happens today, but he's 27 years old. And he kind of reminds me of you. No one expected he would take it that far.
Yeah, and all of a
Comes
sudden,
out of nowhere.
it shocks the world.
You know, I love Masters Sunday. It's a great time to take a nap. Golf, anyway.
Maybe that's what happened to you yesterday. Anyway, Saturday Night Live last night gave us maybe a little taste of what is going to be a difficult week. It's been a difficult couple of months for Mark Zuckerberg, of course, founder of Facebook. He's going to have 2 full days of testimony, getting all kinds of questions, and Saturday Night Live had a little fun.
Mark Zuckerberg will testify before Congress about Facebook's alleged mishandling of millions of users' data.
Hi there, Colin. Begin eye contact. 2, 3, and away. Nailed it. Tonight, I'd like to apologize to all 87 million of you, one by one. I'm sorry, Ethan Cooperbird of Van Nuys, California, for disclosing that you frequently visit your ex-girlfriend's photo album titled Cancun 2010. Hey, remember? They made a movie about me. Yeah, it was called Gladiator. That's a joke.
So users will be able to delete their data?
No, because it's mine. You gave it to me, no backsies. And if you don't like it, you can zuck it. But America, look me in my shark eyes when I say this, that on behalf of everyone at Facebook, I'm sorry. On opposite day,
Mark Zuckerberg, everyone.
I'm dabbing.
That's hilarious. Well, it just highlights the tough position that Mark Zuckerberg is going to be this week when he testifies on the
That he's put himself
He's not
in.
a victim.
He's not a victim at all. He's got this powerful platform. There's accusations of infiltration of it, scraping people's data, and frankly, slanting against, this is my biggest concern, the algorithm and how it slants against conservatives, conservative voices on that platform, which brings us to two friends of this show, Diamond and Silk. You know them and you love them. Now, they say that Facebook is censoring their Facebook page. Here's a quote of what they've said they've gone through recently. They say Diamond and Silk have been corresponding since September 7th, 2017 with Facebook about their biased censorship and discrimination against Diamond and Silk's brand page. Finally, after several emails, chats, phone calls, appeals, beating around the bush, lies, and giving us the runaround, Facebook gave us another bogus reason why millions of people who have liked or followed our page no longer receive notifications, and why our page, post and video reach was reduced by a very large percentage. Here's the reply. This is the reply from Facebook. The policy team has come to the conclusion that your content, Diamond and Silk, and your brand has been determined unsafe to the community. I say again, unsafe to the community, and you can understand why people are outraged by what Facebook is doing.
So we have reached out to Facebook. We have not yet gotten a response from them. We're going to have Diamond and Silk on the show this morning at 9:30 to hear directly from them of what they've gone. You remember their Facebook videos went viral, as you said, back in September 2017 during the campaign. They went on stage, I think, at one point during a campaign rally with President Trump. They're outspoken supporters of the president, and they said over time they've seen their viewership and likes and all that go down. And so they were questioning what was going on, and that's when they sent a letter to
Facebook. At 9:29 Eastern Time, our program is about to become unsafe to the community because we're going to have Diamond and Silk on here. It's unbelievable to me. That is the fear. If you have that much power and that kind of platform and a secret algorithm, and you can tell someone like Diamond and Silk, two ladies with strong opinions, that they're unsafe, where does it stop?
Well, I thought maybe
who else do they silence?
Maybe we could disinvite them, but you know what? There's no backsies, so.
No backsies.
I love that part of the
It's
segment.
great. Well, we'll have them on later on the show. You don't want to miss that.
All right, the president may be preparing to sit down one-on-one with Robert Mueller. Our next guest helped investigate President Clinton. He says could be a very dangerous move.
Plus, House Intel Chair Devin Nunes joins us live at the bottom of the hour.
We've got a big show still ahead. And did Twitter CEO just endorse a civil war against the Republican Party? We're going to show you the controversial tweet, and you can be the judge.
That's not safe.
Coming up.
There are reports that President Trump is preparing for an interview with special counsel Robert Mueller. He has also publicly said he wants to do it, although no formal meeting has been announced. This just days after a report in the Washington Post that the president is not a criminal target in the Russia probe. So should the president even sit down with Mueller? And what goes into these important one-on-one interviews? Joining us now with some important insight is the former deputy independent counsel who questioned President Clinton, Saul Weisenberg. Good morning, Saul. We appreciate you coming in.
Good morning, Ed. Thanks a lot.
Now, you would have obviously worked with the independent counsel Ken Starr at that time. You led the questioning, as I recall, of former President Clinton. And we actually had Ken Starr on this very program yesterday. And he was saying, even though it may be dangerous legally for the president, this president, President Trump, to sit down with Robert Mueller, in the court of public opinion, he likely has to do that. What say you?
Well, I don't know about that. If anybody can pull off not doing it, I think it's this president. You know, the Supreme Court has said for the last 70 years very clearly that the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination protects the innocent as well as the guilty, and in particular protects the innocent from who are ensnared in ambiguous circumstances and might be tricked by the artful questions of prosecutors. So I think the president could go on national TV and say, the Supreme Court has said this, it protects the innocent as well as the guilty. I've said from the beginning this is a witch hunt, and I'm not going to be part of a gotcha process where basically nothing has been found and they're trying to rope me in and hopefully catch me in some innocent fault.
Right. So let's talk about the potential to be caught in what some of his advisors call a perjury trap, which is that this special counsel, Robert Mueller, has obviously interviewed all kinds of people. People's accounts may be varying. He's got emails. He's done interviews. So what would you do to prepare President Trump if he does go in on a one-on-one? What warnings would you have for him?
Well, I think you want his attorney in there with him. And that way, you know, there's nothing that prevents an attorney from coming in. And, for example, if Bob Mueller or his assistant ask an ambiguous question, Ty Cobb could say, well, wait a minute, Mr. Mueller, what exactly do you mean by that? And if the president gives an answer that, in all innocence, is not completely correct because he's forgotten something, Ty Cobb can come in and say, wait a second, Mr. President, what about this? There's no particular set ground rule. There's nothing that would prevent Ty Cobb from doing that. And by the way, it's not that President Trump isn't very intelligent and wouldn't do very well in such an interview. I have seen taped depositions of President Trump, and he has performed very well. It's that it's extremely dangerous. He does not know what information Mueller has. When we questioned President Clinton, he knew just about everything we had. It's a real mystery there, and it's very dangerous.
Real quick, what was the difference? I got 15 seconds, but why did Bill Clinton know more? Because that investigation had gone on longer, or?
That's right, and because we had revealed some of the stuff to him in an abundance of fairness. He knew about the dress. He knew about the DNA.
And President Trump has gotten a lot less information from this special counsel. We appreciate your time today.
No problem.
Sal Weisenberg, great insight. Coming up, House Intel Chairman Devin Nunes live. He's got a lot to say about whether the Justice Department is turning over information quick enough.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. On this Sunday, we are back with some quick headlines. The former Russian spy and his daughter, poisoned and left to die, will reportedly start new lives here in the U.S. That is according to the Sunday Times of London. The British government is working with the CIA to send Sergei Skripal and daughter Yulia to the United States. They were, of course, attacked with a nerve agent last month. Russia denies any responsibility in that attack. Also this, authorities in Germany hunting for a motive after a man mows down innocent people outside of a popular bar, killing 2 and leaving 20 others hurt. The suspect using a van to smash into whatever was in his path in the city of Munster. The driver then shot and killed himself in front of horrified tourists. Terrible story. Pete, over to you.
Yeah, Abby, thanks. Well, putting President Trump's policy into action. The National Guard now on the ground at the U.S. border with Mexico. The Defense Department signing orders Friday, deploying up to 4,000 troops. Texas vowing immediately to send 250 National Guard troops by Monday, while Arizona says they'll send 150 by next week. Here to tell us what's happening with her troops on the ground, Texas Army National Guard Brigadier General Tracy Norris, who is also the Deputy Assistant General, Adjutant General for the Army in Texas. Brigadier General, thank you for joining us this morning. So first and foremost, what will Texas National Guard troops be doing on the border?
Currently, Pete, they are on the border. Our planners are in each of the sectors, working with those sector commanders and their planners of identifying the requirements of what they'll need us to do in support. So once we see this as an evolving mission, so as the requirements develop with Department of Homeland Security, we'll engage with the different surveillance equipment, light and medium aircraft, however they see fit.
So, General, we know that the National Guard troops, even under Title 32 status, are limited in what they can do as far as law enforcement capacity. So what you're looking at is linking up with local civilian authorities and providing value to them, whether it's surveillance with aircraft or people on the ground, assisting in interdiction, but not actually doing the arrests yourselves, correct?
Correct, at this time, and really the requirements from the Department of Homeland Security specifically.
Okay.
In support of the Border Patrol.
Specific question, will Texas Army National Guard troops be armed when they're on the border?
It will be dependent on the mission set, which means that those that will need to be armed for self-defense will be.
So those that might be forward deployed closer to the border, potentially in the pathway of those who are coming illegally, likely would be carrying a firearm.
For self-defense.
For self-defense, exactly. So clarification here. This is a Title 32 mission, which means technically these troops, as I understand it, are still under command of the governor while coordinating and receiving funding from the feds. Within that capacity, any additional latitude given because they're under control of the governor as far as what they can do in working with federal authorities?
And we will continue to stay in coordination with our governor, who will be working with the administration on what that is. And we will also work with National Guard Bureau and Department of the Army on anything else that we'll need as far as guidance. But we are under the command and control of Governor Abbott.
You are. General, we saw the deployment order from Secretary Mattis. Texas and Arizona, a couple of other states volunteered immediately to send troops. Others said they would not. Not to get into the politics, but was this a voluntary decision by Texas, or was Texas told to send troops to the border?
So Texas has had troops on the border since 2014 when Governor Abbott sent them to the border. Currently, we have about 100 soldiers on the border. So those additional soldiers will be just joining them on the border in support of now federal agencies.
But was it mandated from the Pentagon, or did Texas say we're going to be proactive and send these troops in addition?
So, yes, we were already had troops there, and when we were given the go-ahead to send additional troops that were going to be federally funded but still under control of the governor, we went ahead and started to make that happen.
And it's a 6-month deployment, from what I understand, or 6-month engagement. I presume Texas is prepared to stay there longer, along with other states if necessary.
This is correct, and we are already working a contingency plan that if we have to start rotating soldiers and airmen off the border, because we are very sensitive to our employers and our families who support our soldiers and airmen for all the missions that they get.
Well, Brigadier General Tracy Norris, thank you for your service, for the service of the troops underneath you. Selfishly, I might have to come down there and see what you guys are doing. I just invited myself, in case you didn't know.
Absolutely,
So,
come
all right.
on.
All right, General, thank you very much. Appreciate your service. Thank you. All right, well, the DOJ says it will make extraordinary accommodations for Congress to view documents related to the FISA scandal. House Intel Chair Devin Nunes here to react next. Plus, did Twitter's CEO just endorse a civil war against the Republican Party? We'll show you the controversial tweet, and you will be the judge. And it's getting a little wild. I saw it firsthand in our green room. We're celebrating National Zoo Lovers Day. I think that's Abby, and I think that's a penguin. And she's feeding the penguin something, likely fish. We'll see you soon.
Look how cute.
That's a sloth.
Wild thing.
The Justice Department says it's making extraordinary accommodation for House Intel Committee members to see those FISA documents, as President Trump suggests that the Jeff Sessions-led department is slow-walking various congressional requests for documents tied to these investigations and the Clinton email probe. And joining us on the phone right now is the House Intel Chairman, Congressman Devin Nunes. Congressman, I appreciate you joining us because I know you're on a congressional delegation traveling right now, and we want to get to these important issues involving the Justice Department. But real quick, I want to get to some news breaking overnight. There was a chemical attack, as you probably know. I don't know if you've been briefed yet, given the fact that you're traveling. At least 70 killed in this suspected chemical attack. Last time there was an incident like this, as you know, President Trump ordered airstrikes against Syria last year. I wonder what you know about this incident and what you think about the stakes and the potential for U.S. action.
Well, thank you and good morning. And yes, I haven't been briefed on this yet, but I've just seen news reports, and obviously it's very troubling. This activity continues. You just saw last week the Russian President Putin was meeting with both the Turkish president and the Iranian leader. This is a troubled region. It's not going to get any easier. It's always been a troubled region. But, with Secretary Mattis, I have confidence in him. We have hopefully Secretary Pompeo soon coming in as Secretary of State, and John Bolton at the NSC. So the good thing is that President Trump's getting some good advice. And, my advice would be to listen to them and move forward in an appropriate manner.
It is such a sad situation going on there. I want to get your thoughts as well. The DOJ, they say they are making extraordinary accommodations for the House Intel members to view the FISA docs, to look over warrants that were given to surveil Carter Page as part of the Russia probe. You are leading that effort. The president has been tweeting out about this past week. He says he's frustrated things aren't happening quick enough. There's not enough transparency. Where do things stand right now?
Well, this is unacceptable. This is information that, first of all, leaked out a long time ago. If you remember, the Carter Page FISA warrant, that had leaked out back in 2016. We fought and fought and fought to get that information that culminated with finally we were able to send a couple investigators over and Trey Gowdy over that led to the memo that we released. So now people know that the Clinton paid-for dirt was used against the Trump campaign, to spy on the Trump campaign. So our members have been asking to see the underlying information that our investigators had been able to review. So it was nice that they did that, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense because this is something that should have been done a long time ago. What they failed to address is we have been asking, we subpoenaed in August of last year to see a 2-page document, which is called an electronic communication, which is what they used to open the investigation into the Trump presidential campaign in the summer of 2016. We still have not seen that, and we have not seen an fully unredacted version of that document.
And, Mr. Chairman, they say, those that would do the redacting, that it's too sensitive. And I would ask you, as the chairman of the House Intel Committee, I got to believe you have as high a classification as anyone in our government does. Is it too classified, or are they stonewalling and hiding behind something they don't want you or the public to see?
Good point. I keep trying to tell this to the Department of Justice and the FBI. Congress created the Department of Justice and the FBI. They're the ones that opened an investigation into a presidential campaign using our counterintelligence capability. So this in and of itself was unprecedented. It's crazy. The American people know it's crazy. And the longer that they keep very basic information from us, like show us the 2 pages on what led you to believe that you should open this investigation into the campaign. And the longer that they block this from us, I think the more the American people are going to become frustrated, and it's going to look badly on the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Why do you think it's taking so long?
Look, just like we found out with the other information, every time we had to fight for months and months and months to just get a little bit more information, it always turns out badly for them. I mean, look what's just coming out here in the last week on the additional text messages from Mr. Strzok and Ms. Page, the FBI agents. And remember, our committee was the first to ask for those text messages. We were promised that we had all the information as it related to FISA abuse. And then we find out, oh, wait, they were talking to a FISA judge. Now we find out just this week there were additional text messages involving discussions that they were having about the FISA process. The Department of Justice and the FBI knew that we had them under investigation for FISA abuse. And they just decided not to give us that information. So my guess is that whatever is in this electronic communication, which we have a pretty good idea, and you know why we have a good idea? Because they leaked it at the end of December. Somebody from the FBI had to have leaked the information that was in that electronic communication to the New York Times. And we need to verify that, if that was an actual, was that leaked to the New York Times? Was that true or not?
When I reached out to you yesterday, Congressman, you mentioned that in your travels with this congressional delegation, some of our partners, our allies in the fight against al-Qaeda, ISIS, are asking you as the House Intel Chairman, was intelligence weaponized by the Obama administration against Trump officials, and that they're kind of worried about what's happening in the United States. Can you talk about the stakes there?
Yeah, well, typically when we're overseas, we meet with our allies and partners with their intelligence services. And a lot of times we talk to them about having high levels of standards, right? Not using your intelligence agencies to spy on political opponents. It's one of the first conversations we have, especially with countries that are developing in some way, because a lot of times the political leaders will try to use the intelligence agencies to spy on their opponents, to get economic information against opponents, to get dirty information about their opponents. And we always start with the conversation of, look, our intelligence services in the United States, we don't get involved in politics. And now, after years and years of us saying that, I've had to answer the question over the last week from multiple intelligence agencies of these are sometimes strong allies or close partners that are helping us track down ISIS and al-Qaeda terrorists all over the globe. And I have to sit there for the first 15 minutes of the meeting and explain, well, here's what happened. And, and I have to say, look, we have a Congress. We're trying to get to the bottom of it. But other countries, even second world countries, are questioning what the hell is going on in America.
Such an interesting and important point that you don't think about at all. Well, Congressman, Mr. Chairman, please be safe in your travels. Thank you for your work, and we look forward to checking in for updates.
Great to get your perspective this morning.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks
Really
for having me on.
Thank you.
All right, turning now to some other headlines that we are following closely this morning. Investigators may have found the body of a child missing after a family SUV plunged off of that cliff. Both mothers and 3 children are now confirmed dead following the crash that happened in California. But the bodies of the 3 other kids, they have not yet been recovered. We'll keep a close eye on that one. An autopsy this week will determine if these new remains match up with any of those missing children. Authorities suspect that the crash was intentional. Also this morning, Twitter CEO apparently endorsing a modern-day political civil war. Jack Dorsey sharing a post calling for the country to overtake Republicans at the ballot box. The authors of the piece writing, quote, America finally needs to take the Republican Party down for a generation or 2. Dorsey calling it a, quote, great read. That article also suggesting the rest of the country imitate liberal California when it comes to solving domestic conflicts. And some insane video showing a man taking a death-defying leap off a moving train. Watch this. The daredevil jumping into the water, barely missing a concrete pillar in the water. Australian police say they're aware of the train surfing stunt. They're now looking for the man so they can charge him.
I kind of want to try that. Is that irresponsible?
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, I'm glad the guy's not hurt. But
Should that be your next
Yeah, you want
challenge?
to try that?
Yeah, I'll challenge you, Ed, to train jumping.
All right. Rick would never do that. He's a safe guy. He's
I'm with Ed or with Pete.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
looking at that thinking that doesn't look that bad. It looks
awesome.
actually kind of like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's produce that, Pete.
Okay.
Let's
we're
make that
in.
one happen. All right. Talk a little weather out there as you're waking up this morning. It's still cold. Unfortunately, it still feels like winter for almost everybody, except for parts of the Southwest and still parts of South Florida. Take a look at the map, show you what's going on. 71 is waking up in Tampa, but we have some rain. We had some rain. We're going to see some rain this week across parts of Central Florida. Take a look at that. 37 right now in Dallas, 43 in San Antonio. West Texas, you're going to warm up quite nicely today. I'll show you that in a second. Here's your forecast across the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and towards the Northeast. Still some more snow falling across far interior sections of the North. It's still a chilly, brisk day. Down across the Southeast, another chilly one, and really windy across West Texas. Expect to see a bit of fire danger. Take a look at that. All snow across parts of the Northern Plains. All right, guys. Back to you inside.
Unbelievable. All right. Thank you, Rick.
You bet.
Well, still ahead is Harvard, that vaunted institution, waging war on Christianity. Well, one of the university's largest Christian groups was just defunded.
What?
After exercising religious rights. Our next guest is calling out the intolerance on campus.
Plus, couples, of course, they argue all the time over chores, but which one is most likely to ruin your relationship? Your emails are pouring in on this. My Twitter feed is blowing up about this. We're going to read those answers coming up.
I don't understand this dishwasher thing. Just put them in. Take them out. Well, I mean, your master's edition of News by the Numbers. First, 350,000. That's how many vehicles Ford is recalling because they may roll away while in park. Wow. It includes their 2018 F-Series pickup trucks and Expeditions. Owners, we hope, will be notified. Next, number one. That's me. No. Alaska Airlines snagging this year's top spot for the best airline. New analysis from Wallet Hub looking at things like in-flight comfort and cost, animal incidents, and departures. And finally, $2.8 million. That's Pete's salary? Wait.
No, it's not.
Wait, I need to talk to someone about that. That's how much actor Russell Crowe earned at his so-called divorce auction. A rare 128-year-old violin Crowe learned to play for the 2003 movie Master and Commander, selling for just over $100,000. Pete?
Definitely not my salary. Thanks, Ed. All right, well, Harvard's latest Christian fellowship is placed on probation after defunded, they were placed on probation and defunded after simply exercising their religious right. The group, Harvard College Faith and Action, asked one of its student leaders to step down after revealing she was in a same-sex relationship. The university was not happy about the group's move, labeling them, quote, intolerant.
Our next guest calls out Harvard for its, quote, intolerance in a new op-ed writing. The more the liberal state and liberal institutions squeeze Orthodox believers, the harder it becomes to imagine liberalism returning to some prior state, to the days when liberalism not only accommodated, but even encouraged traditional morality and belief.
So is Harvard waging war on Christianity? Here to weigh in, senior writer for commentary and author of that op-ed, Sohrab Ahmari. Thank you, Sohrab, for being here.
Pleasure.
So for me, this is not an issue about same-sex marriage or same-sex relationships. It's about religious organizations being able to adhere to their beliefs freely in a free society. But in this particular case, they chose to make a decision based on their faith, and as a result, were punished by the university.
That's exactly right. Look, Harvard is a private institution. It's not bound by the First Amendment. Nevertheless, it puts itself forward as an institution where there is free inquiry and free speech, and a component of that is freedom of association, which means that groups, depending on their religious faith or other political views, can choose who their leadership should be. So it's a violation of that principle, which still applies, I think, at Harvard, for Harvard to be an institution where freedom matters. And it's just part of a bigger pattern where you begin to question whether we really still live in a free society. I mean, if you hold up a checklist, you know, we still have competitive elections, thank God. We still have a free and robust press, thank God. But in many areas of life, particularly in culture, entertainment, journalism, and academia especially, it doesn't feel that way. People feel there's this kind of pervasive low-grade pressure that you have to conform your opinions to the latest liberal orthodoxy, which, by the way, is shifting every minute.
Right, that whether or not religious liberty still exists. So we're getting a statement from the school. This is a statement from the undergraduate council member who says, I think this, and as it's called, about solidarity, I think this is an important symbolic move to show that we, as the elected representatives of the student body, will not tolerate discrimination.
Well, there's no discrimination involved here. I mean, within our broader society and at Harvard, there are all sorts of protections for gays and lesbians and other sexual minorities. This is about the right of a particular group to uphold its faith beliefs. And I think this is very dangerous because at some point you get to a situation where people don't feel like they can uphold their faith. So look, I mean, liberalism no longer asks that you give them rights or you give them recognition. They've already won all the rights and recognitions. We have gay marriage, we have transgender rights. But now increasingly, you as the individual, you Pete, you Abby, have to in your soul believe that you have to make the cake, that you know, Caitlyn Jenner was always a woman, was never Bruce. You have to, as a Christian organization, allow an active bisexual to be your Christian club president.
Well, that's right. It's political correctness. It goes from acceptance to conformity to celebration, and if you don't accept it, then you're wrong, and that's where speech and freedom of association ends. So,
thank you for being with us.
Appreciate your perspective. You got it. All right. Well, all eyes on Mark Zuckerberg as he prepares to testify this week. And now Facebook execs say if you want to keep your data private, you're going to have to pay for it. Can that actually happen? We'll ask that question.
And it is getting wild in our studio this morning. We are celebrating National Zoo Lovers Day. Yes, that is a baby kangaroo in Rick's arms. How cute.
Ed, pet the sloth.
There's a sloth. I hear he bites, so I'm not going to touch him.
Dangerous.
Wow, you're really close to me right now.